All right. Thank you everyone for joining us this morning. Today I'll be talking about SHRF's Solutions Program. And my name is Karen Tilsley, and I am the Director of Programs and Partnerships. And I wanted to acknowledge today that I'm working from Treaty 6 territory in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and hiding in a basement on this beautiful sunny day where we should all be at the beach. All right, so what we'll be covering today in probably 30 minutes or so, and then we'll have time for questions at the end. You can just use the Q&A feature through Zoom. So I'll talk a little bit about who SHRF is and what of the focus areas for the Solutions Program, the different grants offered through Solutions, who can apply, more detail about innovation versus impact grant, some key takeaways, and some time for questions at the end. All right, so SHRF is funded through the Government of Saskatchewan via Innovation Saskatchewan. So we report through Innovation Saskatchewan, and we exist to fund, support, and promote the impact of health research that matters to Saskatchewan. We celebrated our 20th anniversary last year, and yeah, we continue on with our work, which really focuses on these key activities, which include developing and executing research funding competitions, such as the one I'm talking about today. We uphold a rigorous peer review process for those funding competitions. We partner with other organizations in many different ways. We measure the impact of research and share the stories. And we act as a neutral and trusted convener for the research community. SHRF supports research in any area of human health across all the pillars and areas of research, everything from developing policy to developing new treatments and medicines. So our scope is very large as an organization. So the programs that we offer are through 4 different pillars. So all of those programs work to advance our strategic goals, to strengthen research capacity and competitiveness, increase investment in research and innovation, and align with stakeholders' needs. So we have 4 programs. So the Solutions Program is what we'll be talking about today. The Capacity Program offers establishment grants for early career researchers. And we also work with national funders to have trainee funding opportunities. The Connections Program supports the development and knowledge mobilization activities so that the research is useful and responsive to Saskatchewan needs. And our partnership program includes partnerships both on SHRF programs as well as many national partnerships. At last count, we had 19 active partnership agreements, and through those, we're able to support more health research and really expand the reach and visibility of the research that's happening in Saskatchewan. The Solutions Program supports collaborative and engaged research for the development and implementation of innovations to address timely Saskatchewan health needs and create a sustainable impact in focus area. So that's the high-level vision we have for this program, and I'll go further into the details of how we aim to do that. So the program purpose is to address those timely Saskatchewan health challenges, create that sustainable impact, and really mobilize the research community, partners, and stakeholders to focus on an area, put the resources behind that, and contribute their different perspectives. So the grants are designed to be in that innovation pipeline. So the innovation grant is starting with developing new solutions for known problems and really catalyzing the development of those solutions. So those grants are for 1 year and up to $50,000. The impact grant is the next stage along the innovation pipeline, where you're advancing testing, refining these solutions in real world environments. So the solution has some evidence to support its effectiveness, and we really want to see how it stands up in the real world or practical applications. And the next steps in this pipeline, not shown here, would include supporting further implementation, adoption, scale, and spread of the solutions that have been validated in the real world. And SHRF is currently exploring ways to support research as it moves to that end of the pipeline, so that Saskatchewan can benefit from the best evidence-informed practices that you all have been developing. The focus areas that we're offering this year, along with our partners, include child and youth health, where we are collaborating with Jim Pattison Children's Hospital Foundation. So SHRF will be supporting grants in the area of rural and remote health. In a partnership with Alzheimer's Society of Saskatchewan, we'll be supporting research related to Alzheimer's disease and other dementias. And in partnership with Lung Sask, we will be supporting grants in relation to lung health. And so these areas evolve year to year. You may notice that these are the same areas that we offered in the previous solutions competition. So we're continuing our investment in these areas and continuing on with these partnerships. And so we have at least $1 million available for that child and youth focus area, at least $400,000 available for rural and remote, and $2,000 each for the lung and Alzheimer's partnerships. There's also additional funding available through a partnership with SCPR, Saskatchewan Centre for Patient-Oriented Research, through both child and youth health and rural and remote health. So have for all of the focus areas, including the partnership with SCPR and the lung and Alzheimer's partnerships, have a look at the guide, and there's some more information to give you a better sense of what our partners are looking for, so you can align with their strategies and look at any specific requirements they have. Specifically, SCPR partnership does have some additional requirements at the application stage. And these numbers that I'm showing here are our budget starting point. So following the peer review, we'll look at every grant and see every focus area that it addresses and fund as many grants as we can. As you can imagine, there's many grants that address more than one focus area, and that's wonderful. The timelines, we opened the guidelines officially on June 27th, and then from now until September 26th, we're available to answer your questions about eligibility, about how your project fits with the program, and you can submit your eligibility anytime, but as long as that cutoff is met September 26th. And then through the eligibility process, we can go back and forth. If we have questions or need more information, it can be a bit of a conversation. So if you leave it till September 26th, you'll have about a week where we have to sort things out by that cutoff of October 4th. If you submit earlier in the summer even, we'll get back to you in a few days, and then you can proceed with the full application. So if you got through eligibility, next month, you would have the next 3.5 months to work on the full application, which is due November 14th. If you leave it till the end of September, you'll have about 6-7 weeks, including those internal deadlines to get your application together. So just keep that in mind. And the institutions have internal deadlines that you'll need to look into so that you can get their sign off before submitting to SHRF. And all of our deadlines are 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So from there, we go through our peer review process, and we're able to get those funding decisions to you in early March with the March 1st funding start date. If you want to look into some of the projects that have been previously funded, you can go to shrf.ca/stories and read funding announcements and other story features that can give you a sense of what people are up to. So go more into the eligibility, team, and application requirements. So the grants are absolutely a team effort, but all SHRF grants need that point person, who we call the principal applicant or principal investigator, that's really taking responsibility for the management of the funding, the activities, and the reporting to SHRF. So the person that is able to take on the role of principal applicant needs to be someone who is autonomous in the research activities. So they can't be a trainee or a contracted employee. They must be affiliated with an institution in Saskatchewan that has a memorandum of understanding with SHRF, and I'll touch on that in the next slide. And then that institution would indicate that that person is able to hold peer-reviewed funding, that there's nothing in the way of that. And that person in that role is obliged to follow their institutional regulations and policies about the conduct of research and supervising trainees and employees. So that all comes with part of the package. And principal applicants need to reside and work in Saskatchewan for the duration of the grant. So these are the logos of the institutions that have current MOUs with SHRF. So through that MOU, we outline roles and responsibilities so that every grant we fund has this understanding about reporting and other compliance requirements already in place. And you'll notice we recently added First Nations University of Canada, and yeah, so the list can grow, but these are our current institutions. So when you're building your team, we have 3 different roles, the way we talk about it. So there are the co-applicants, and these are the people that are contributing to the intellectual, cultural, or scientific direction of the project. They have different descriptors, so they could include researchers, knowledge users, or people with living experience. So these are the people that are active members of the team, attending team meetings, providing input, guidance, feedback, and really have an important role in the success of the project. Personnel are also key people involved in the team and carrying out the project. However, they are people that are being compensated from the grant funds. So you can't be you'd have to choose either to be compensated from the grant funds or be a co-applicant if you're a research associate or trainee of some sort. So yeah, so staff and trainees, we have them listed as personnel. And then supporters are individuals or organizations who have a limited or defined role in the project and an interest in the proposed outcomes. And these supporters are still an important part of indicating that the project is feasible and that different audiences are in support of the activities and the future directions. So really take a moment to consider whether an individual is a better fit, as a team member or a supporter. So that first, just zooming in on that first bullet of co-applicants, as I mentioned, they cannot be compensated from the grant funds. And the exception for that are people with lived experience, and they can receive an honoraria. And each co-applicant would fill out a contribution form as part of the application, where they select the appropriate role descriptor and upload their CV or testimonial. So one person might be all of these things some of the time, but this label is really about their role in the proposed project. So a researcher is someone bringing that formal research training and utilizing that position, which supports them to pursue research. A knowledge user is someone that's interested in the applications of the knowledge generated from the proposed research, and it includes a really wide array of people. And then people with lived living experience are bringing their personal experience with the health issue, the health system, their experience as an informal caregiver. So when you're building that team, the co-applicants need to include at least 2 Saskatchewan-based researchers from different disciplines, and those cannot be trainees, and 1 Saskatchewan-based knowledge user. And then there are some additional team requirements, for example, in the SHRF partnership. So when you ask someone to join the team, what they are going to have to do as part of the application is accept an email invitation. So you can think of this email as a signature. So the email asks them, do you agree to be on this team? Do you know what you're agreeing to, and you're on board with what the application says that you're doing? So we take that as a person's signature that they have consented to be a part of this team in a way that's described in the application. So that's really important that the individual themselves complete that step. The contribution form is where we get some more information about the person's role on the project, and specifically an estimate of the hours per week they would be spending on the project, and a brief description of their role, and an upload of the SHRF researcher profile, knowledge user profile, or testimonial as appropriate for their role. And so a big change that we've made this year, based on your feedback, we really heard that working with people who aren't day-to-day in the research community in particular, to get them completing the contribution form has been an administrative challenge. And so we found a way. Thankfully, we have Tanya on our team who went in the back end of the system and came up with some different programming options that now we have made it so contribution forms are automatically assigned to the principal applicant, as well as the owner, the person on the team. So as a principal applicant, you will have access to the contribution form that's generated for every person that you invite. And we expect that you would talk with that person and decide who is going in there to complete and submit it, since you both have that ability. And regarding the first step of even accepting the email invitation, if there is a situation where somebody has no internet or email, that doesn't need to be a barrier for them participating. We will absolutely work with you if there's any of those type of situations. Just let us know as soon as you do, and we'll figure out a way to make it work. And something to note, since the same contribution form is available for supporters, that can now also be completed by the principal applicant, we've removed the option there was a field in the proposal section to upload letters of support, and we've removed that. So all supporter information and letters of support are uploaded through those contribution forms. So the supporter would be accepting that email invitation and providing you a letter of support if you're going to be doing the contribution form on their behalf and submitting it. And if your supporters or anyone else are having trouble with the RMS, getting into the RMS, often there's some trouble getting the organization if it's not already in the system, don't waste any time. Just send us an email and we'll get you fixed up from our end so that you can get registered and go on with the next steps. We are offering a Q&A tutorial session specifically for those contribution forms at the end of October. So as you're getting close to that deadline, anyone can attend this. You could let people know they could log on and do their form live along with this tutorial. And yeah, so keep that in mind. You'll get more reminders later on as well. Some things to keep in mind as you are building your team. These are types of things that peer reviewers are looking for and really are important for building effective research teams. The relevant expertise should be present. So if you have a particular type of analysis, then there should be somebody on the team that has experience in that type of analysis so that the reviewers know that it can be done effectively and correctly. And if someone is an applicant on the team or personnel, they really need to have a clear role and demonstrate how their expertise or experience contributes to the research question, the potential impacts. So there's no benefit of having, people on there just for the sake of having their name or having giant teams where it's unclear what people's role is on the team. So that's maybe where you want to consider if someone is truly a co-applicant or a supporter. It's always great to see early career researchers involved so that the area of research can continue on into the future. And if there's an early career researcher leading a project, having a mentor on the team is a really great way to demonstrate feasibility of the project. And the people who are on the team that have that lived experience and those knowledge users, they're there because they have perspectives about the solution that you're studying and how it could be used, and they might be someone that could benefit from it or would be involved somehow. So that should be evident in the role of those individuals. And then any supporters that make sense, that could speak to the, feasibility, the excitement, the future potential, access to certain things. So that might be health system decision makers, community leaders, industry partners, all kinds of different people can be supporters. If you're wondering about multiple applications and reapplications, the principal applicant is restricted to just one application per year for the solutions program. So no matter the focus area or type of grant, there's one application per principal applicant, but that person can be a co-principal applicant or co-applicant on other grants. No problem with that. If you applied to the program previously, we encourage you to look at the feedback that you received and revise and resubmit your application. There is a spot on the application form to address those previous reviewer comments, and if the reviewers can see that you've given it thoughtful consideration, that really goes a long way. We don't specifically renew projects. If you're moving on, sort of a new branch from a work from previous funded grant, then that is eligible. So yeah, any potential overlap with previously funded projects should be addressed in the proposal. So some considerations when you're wondering whether you should apply to the which funding opportunity you should be looking at. So when you're considering the innovation grant versus the impact grant, really want you to consider the objectives and the stage of the project. and not look at the 1 to 2 year term or the amount of the grant. That's not what it's about. It's about the objectives of your project and where it's at. So really focus on that innovation grant is where you're developing new solutions to known problems. And the impact grant is where you're taking solutions that have some evidence behind them and moving them into real world and practical settings. As far as the focus areas go, you only need to fit one. There's nothing wrong with only fitting one, and there's also nothing wrong with fitting many. So any configuration is equally acceptable. And yeah, thinking about that involvement of the knowledge user, that's really a key element of what makes this program a solutions program. So when you're involving a knowledge user on that team, you need to have at least one. Who are they? Someone who would implement the solution? Are they helping inform the development? Yeah, so really take some time to think about that role, as it really is the foundation to this being about a solution. So the first step is this eligibility check, which I mentioned you can submit anytime up until September 26th. And through this, we're looking to make sure that your application is relevant to the funding opportunity and the objectives, and that it fits a focus area, that you have an eligible principal applicant. And it's also really helpful for us to get a head start on creating the review committee. So that time in between eligibility, when you guys are working on your applications, we're working hard on our end on building those review committees. We, at this stage, also inform all of our partners of the applications and confirm with them that they have no concerns about the relevance to their focus areas. And it gives us an opportunity, if there's anything a bit out of the ordinary or anything that might raise a flag for reviewers, we can record that decision, and that's the one thing from eligibility that reviewers will be able to see, to just maybe ease their minds if that SHRF and the applicants have had these discussions and sorted through them. The rest of your eligibility, once you go on to the full application, becomes irrelevant. It's not, you can't edit it anymore. The reviewers won't see it. So it's just about that first step. The things you'll be thinking about getting ready to submit your eligibility. Which focus areas does your research address and how? Have a look at those partnership opportunities, that innovation versus impact grant, what is most suitable? Who's on your team? You'll need at least the minimum requirement of 2 researchers and 1 knowledge user in Saskatchewan. And you'll need a draft title and brief overview of your planned research, as well as 3 suggested Canadian reviewers from outside Saskatchewan. And those reviewers may be someone we asked to join the committee, and otherwise they're really helpful to give us a sense of the type of person that could review your grant. So those suggestions are really, really helpful for us. So in more detail on the eligibility form, we ask you about the fit with the program, and we've added some more direct prompts about what we're looking for in these areas, so that you're really just giving us the information we need at this stage. And so we need you to identify what is the problem or need that is known. What is your proposed solution? Is it a new solution, or is there some evidence behind it already? Who is the audience that would benefit or implement the solution? And who is that knowledge user on the team? So by addressing those in, I think it's 300 words or so, you can give us the sense of whether your project is a good fit. And then we have a proposed research overview, which is more where we're looking for information that would help us find the right peer reviewers for your grant. So things like the topic and study population, those proposed objectives in a more scientific write-up, and the key methodology. So any theoretical frameworks, models, techniques, analysis approaches, outcome measures, the types of things that really tell us about your research and indicate who would have the expertise to review it. I'm coming up on the last couple of slides here. So some key takeaways. We want you to, at this time, identify if your research fits one or more of the focus areas, whether your research is appropriate for the innovation or impact. And keep in mind that applications are welcome from all research pillars. So if you have questions about how your research might fit innovation or impact grant objectives, feel free to reach out to us at any time. So you're thinking about the expertise and experience of the team and how they can address the project's focus and methods, analysis, and intended outcomes. And between eligibility and full application, you can add new team members. There's no problem with that. Be clear on that knowledge user from the get-go and have at least one person on board for eligibility. We have resources available to support their participation. So you can check those out on our website. We also have a YouTube channel with all kinds of playlists and videos that can be really helpful for people as well. And at eligibility, you're addressing, as I mentioned, the fit with the opportunity, and then the project goals and approaches to support the reviewer recruitment. So everything I've talked about today is really part of that eligibility step. And then we're going to have another webinar towards the end of August with live Q&A, so more not the webinar format, more of a meeting format. And we will go into the details of the actual application form, the review criteria, and then anything else people have questions on, maybe that they've discovered over the next month or so, reading the guidelines. So keep an eye for that, register for that on our website. If you're subscribed to our newsletter, you'll get reminders about that. Yeah, so we hope to see you at the August information session as well. And anytime you have questions about eligibility or the program requirements, you can reach out to me, Karen Tilsley, and anything about the RMS, registering, accessing different things, any, funny things that are happening that shouldn't be, don't hesitate to reach out to Tanya. Tanya is also the help desk. So helpdesk@shrf.ca gets you Tanya. And there's her direct email as well. And there's some links here that have some helpful resources. So shrf.ca/opportunities has all of our current funding opportunities. And a great way to stay up to date is our newsletter, shrf.ca/contact. You can sign up at that link. There is the funding guide and RMS manual available at shrf.ca/resources. And our YouTube channel has lots of how-to videos that can be helpful, in particular with the RMS. So that is the end of my presentation today. We have the Q&A feature available through Zoom. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to type them in the Q&A and I can answer those right now. We will follow up, we'll send a follow-up email next week with the slides attached, a link to this recording, and some other helpful tips to get you going. Oh, someone's raised a hand. Are you able to see the the Q&A box. Yes, so the slides, we'll send a follow-up email with some helpful tips and links, and attach a copy of the slides that you're welcome to forward to your colleagues, etc., if they weren't able to come today. So you'll get that email next week. I appreciate everyone taking the time to attend today, and we really look forward to hearing about the different projects that everyone's working on and helping you through the process. I'm not seeing any other questions pop up. So here we have one question. If you're an early career researcher, are you limited to the innovation grant? No, there's no extra limitations like that. An early career researcher can apply for innovation or impact. Again, it's which one you choose is all about the phase of the project and how it aligns with the grant objectives. And if you're an early career researcher, it's really, really helpful to have someone on the team who is more experienced, that will be working alongside you. Yeah, there's a question about whether proposal must have at least 2 researchers. That's correct. So the minimum size of a team is 3 individuals that are in Saskatchewan. 2 of them must bring research expertise from different perspectives, and 1 of them must bring the knowledge user perspective. Sometimes I get questions about if someone is in the same department, if that's okay, that, for the 2 researchers. And there are so many different disciplines and approaches and different, types of people in departments and faculties and colleges. So that's not really the factor. It's about whether they can bring a different perspective. So something that's making it interdisciplinary and really bringing those different perspectives. So we're not looking at, just the department name. That's not the issue. Well, thank you for those questions. Happy to take any more. Well, yeah, if there's no more questions, please do mark that webinar on August 20th, and you can register for that. And it'd be great before then if you read through the funding application. The first section of the application package is all about these requirements, eligibility requirements, application requirements, and then the big chunk at the back